Hello and welcome back. Today I am going to be talking about whether you should or should not watch TV that includes sexual material. So we're talking about TV series here, perhaps films, just content where it isn't porn. Like, we're not talking about porn here, but I'm talking about just TV shows that maybe your mum and dad are watching, and you go into the front room and then there's a sex scene and you're like, oh shit, I've just got triggered. Now, hopefully you're not there watching sex scenes with your parents. It might be a little bit uncomfortable. However, this is what we're talking about. Hopefully that kind of makes the point clear that we're not talking about porn. We're just talking about TV and movies where there's a bit of sexual content. Now, there's such a big difference between you going on like Netflix and like going and scrolling down and looking at the thumbnails and seeking out something sexually provocative. In fact, I think Netflix at times even uses thumbnails in quite a deliberate way to come across as particularly sexual. There's a couple of things I can think of. There's a TV show called Too Hot to Handle, which I've never watched in my life and never will, and that just is like full of like people in bikinis and stuff in the thumbnail, and I've always been like, what the hell? And then the other one was this one called Focus, which again I haven't watched, but I remember in the thumbnail it was just Margot Robbie looking pretty good, and the title was like Focus, and I was just like, oh, okay, hello. So look, I haven't watched those things and I have no intention to. I probably wouldn't, and to be honest, if anything, the thumbnail would probably put me off. Like, I personally wouldn't click on a thumbnail if it seems particularly sexually provocative, just because I'm kind of like, come on Netflix, what are you doing, guys? Like, I just want to watch a film. So I wouldn't choose to go there. But here's the thing, there can be programs which you're just watching, maybe you're laying down in bed and you're watching a bit of The Night Manager. This is a TV show I was watching last night in bed with my girlfriend. Was just watching it on a what's it called, Apple, what are the little Apple laptops called, I've forgotten, MacBook. So yeah, we're watching it on a MacBook, and it was a good TV series. I'm enjoying it, but then there's this like sexual scene and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, I look at my girlfriend, I'm just like, this is a bit weird. Like, is it just me or is this a little bit weird? And she's like, yeah, this is kind of weird. And I'm just like, yeah, it is. So yeah, I do think TV series nowadays, they do pack a lot of sexual content into some of their programs. Not everyone, but there is quite a few that can be quite sexually provocative. And the problem that we have isn't really, do I watch this program or not? The only problem we ever really need to solve when it comes to porn addiction recovery is, do I know how to deal with compulsive desires? And what do I do in that moment I experience a compulsive desire? So we had a guy on a call last night, in our group call, inside the Beyond Compulsion Academy, and he was talking about how he kept on getting triggered by a TV series. But the cool thing is after getting triggered, he was okay to just go straight to a script and deal with that compulsive desire and change his neural pathway a little bit. But what was going on is the addicted part of the mind was trying to get him questioning himself. This is a very, very interesting tactic that we've discovered is very common in porn addiction, is that the addicted part of the mind will try and get people to question whether they've done something wrong. And it will say things like, oh, was that crossing the line? Did I just relapse? These are common questions. If you go into any Reddit forum, or you go in any porn addiction recovery online community, I can almost guarantee you will find a complete, an absolute plethora of comments and posts going, I just did, and then, insert whatever random behavior they've done. Did I relapse? There's so much uncertainty, so much helplessness, so much like anxiety, people feeling like they're doing something wrong within the porn addiction recovery space. Like, this is so common. So it is just another tactic by the addicted part of the mind, because where it leads is essentially, oh, I want to definitively know the answer to this question, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and watch porn and fully relapse so that then I've got an answer. And I literally would do that in the past. When I was in the porn addiction, I remember like I'd see something maybe slightly sexual, or maybe I'm watching a film and there's like a sex scene in it or whatever, and then afterwards I'm like, oh my god, like, did I relapse? Like, oh shit, like, what do? Do I start my streak again or not? And then I'd literally like go and look out for more sexual content, fully relapse, just so I could have the confirmation internally that I've relapsed, and then start my streak again. Like, it's so insane that I would do that, but that's just where I was with the whole porn addiction in the past before I learned the Beyond Compulsion method. So my answer to this overall is, obviously don't go seeking out sexual content in TV and film in particular, like don't go actively seeking that. That would be very compulsive. I wouldn't do that. I think that'd be a very bad idea. It's just going to lead to very strong compulsive desires and may lead to you wanting to watch porn a lot more. Not to say it'll definitely lead to you watching porn, but it'll lead to increased desires. And how much do you want to have more desire? You know, it's probably not a good idea. But at the same time, if you are looking at something and there is a sex scene in it or something a bit sexual, doesn't mean you have to go and relapse, doesn't mean you're screwed, doesn't mean you have to buy into the addicted part of the mind's unanswerable questions, because you will know whether you've chosen to be compulsive. You will always know that. And if you're unsure, then you want to start seeing that as an opportunity to rewire that neural pathway of helplessness, get back into a position where you are feeling sure, and then simply move on. Because we don't want to spend time going around in circles, just kind of trying to figure out, is this a relapse? Is it not? It's just not a good place to be. I spent like 10 years going around in circles with unanswerable questions that cannot be definitively answered, questions that people will spend hours going online and trying to find an answer to from hundreds of different people. It's not a good place to be, honestly. It just isn't. It's just complete helplessness, and it's going to make you pretty miserable. Hopefully this podcast makes some sense. To really, really sum it up, you will know whether you're being compulsive. So just remember that. You don't need to go ask people on the internet whether a behaviour is compulsive, because you will know. And if you're unsure, then you want to see that as an opportunity to change your neural pathways, because really that uncertainty, that unsureness, I don't know if that's a word, but whatever it is, that's just a symptom of compulsive desire. That is just you wanting to engage. Hopefully that makes some sense, right? Thank you for listening. If you'd like to learn the Beyond Compulsion methods and get involved with us and have regular group calls where we discuss things like this and actually have very, very practical solutions to these kind of problems, which really involve changing your neural pathways, feel free to click the link below to learn more. Cheers, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.